Good afternoon. My name is Ben Knight, and I'm an artist and proud co-owner of 3 wonderful restaurants east of I-95, Benny's Big Time Pizzeria in Wilmington, the Boiler Room Oyster Bar, and Chef and the Farmer in Kinston. I also have the distinct pleasure of representing my Eastern North Carolina community by serving on the Rural Center Board of Directors. And some of you here today may know my wife, my amazing wife, Vivian Howard, who had the honor of addressing this assembly a few years ago. And Vivian's words of wisdom to the assembly that day were not to let the smallness of your community limit the impact and reach of your work. The work of our keynote speakers today, Create Your State, echo this sentiment loud and clear. Create Your State is a multimedia educational presentation and workshop that drives to empower and inspire community revitalization and development. In this presentation, you'll hear the story of how Lori McKinney Blankenship and Robert Blankenship, as artists and cultural entrepreneurs, ignited and steered an arts-driven community revitalization in Lori's hometown of Princeton, West Virginia. Lori is the founder of Millennium Entertainment, and she and Robert are the co-founders of Riff Raff Arts Collective. In 2012, Lori and Robert teamed up with local community members to create Princeton Renaissance Project, a downtown development effort that included a public art campaign, which consisted of community gardens and professional and volunteer sculptures and murals. Between Lori and Robert's activism, Princeton grew into a place of collaboration, creativity, and communal inspiration. Option 22, the band accompanying Lori and Robert, is infused with the talents of Ilan Bruce, Jordan Dunlap, Arian Graham, and James Hart. Through Option 22's original music and accompanying visual projections, we'll be learning about how the arts, creativity, and an out-of-box approach can establish a creative scene that can redefine and reinvigorate a community. I feel like I have a special kinship to Lori and Robert. As someone who's spent their entire life in the arts and knows firsthand the value of the arts as a tool for economic development, there's something to be said for the power a community has when it creates together. Vivian and I have made our home in rural Eastern North Carolina, and we've had immense pleasure of watching our community become a place of creation and transformation. And every day, we are blessed to celebrate all that Kinston and Lenoir County is and will become. I'm excited, as I'm sure you all are, to watch and learn from Lori, Robert, and Option 22 just how we can create our state and the communities we call home. Please join me in welcoming to the stage, Create Your State.
We perform and teach there. We also make art and create happenings or community events. Now, our presence has been a part of a dynamic shift in the life of our neighborhood on a once very depressed street called Mercer Street. So today, we're going to tell you a little bit of our story. We're going to share some of our music and our art with you, and hopefully inspire you to cultivate similar growth in your communities. I'll tell you how our work positively affects the local economy, and hopefully empower you with some tools and some resources to help transform your environment to create your state. So I grew up in Princeton. It's in Mercer County at the very southern part of the state, where as a kid, I was hungry for creative outlets. Like most young people, I wanted nothing more than to just get out and see the world. And so I did. And I pointed myself in the general direction of bright lights and big city opportunities. I ended up studying theater at James Madison University, and my senior year, I had the opportunity to study abroad. It wasn't until I was standing in an ancient amphitheater in Greece or on Tottenham Court Road in London that I realized what it was that I was searching for. It was the vibrancy of London that struck me. It was all these people buzzing about and connecting in very colorful spaces. Another thing that struck me was learning the way that the ancients used the arts to teach virtue and rule society. I had epiphany after epiphany about the purpose for creativity, and then I struck a major aha moment. So what is it that makes a city great? It's people. It's people doing stuff and making things happen. And now who are they that make a city great? You know, people are always saying they need to fix this and they need to fix that. And then it dawned on me, we are they. We are they that can make things better. We can affect our lives and our environment in a relatively unlimited way. So now being outside of the country, I started to recognize what my hometown and my home state did have to offer. Beautiful landscape, right? Open highways, easy living, kind-hearted, warm, friendly people, and tons of music and heritage. These are all the things that I didn't truly appreciate living there nonstop for 18 years. As a kid, I knew that I had to leave to find it, but I didn't really know what it was. But then once I found it, then I could really start to recognize it back in my home. Though in rural West Virginia, I really had to investigate to discover where all that was hidden. You know, the arts and culture aren't really as much in the forefront as they are in a populated area, so you really kind of have to dig to find it. Now, I know here in North Carolina, you all have rich and deep roots of arts and culture. And what I realized was that I would need to tap in to those veins of culture and then use that to cultivate a scene that I wanted to exist within in my hometown. And I was living in a bubble back then, and traveling out there helped me to open my eyes to what was in my midst all along. And then the mountains, they started to call. I felt this beautiful spiritual connection to the land, and I just knew that I was supposed to be there. I was inspired to create there, and most of all, I was moved to make music. I'm going to bring some awesome people out on stage with me right now, these wonderful musicians that I have the opportunity to create with. I'll tell you a little bit more about them as the program goes on, but for now, I'll introduce you to Mr. Jacob Brooks over here on the guitar, Miss Ariane Graham on the drums, Mr. Elon J.D. on the bass, and Mr. Robert Blankenship on the guitar. Now, this is a song about feeling the call home to West Virginia.
Well, I've been running for far too long. You see, I've been reaching, searching for my song, and then something told me the winding road home. She'd call me home, West Virginia. Oh, how could I go wrong? Sweet down home, Mount Mama. Go on, sing me your song. Well, sing me your song, oh mama. That song I long to hear. Sing to me sweetly and whisper in my ear. You see, all the roads I have taken, they seem to have led me here. Something pulled me down the winding road home. Down the winding road home.
Thank you. Aren't these guys great? In London, I had met all these young people, and they all had their own record labels and their own production companies, and the whole ball game changed. I realized that with the tools and the technology that we have available to us now, we can make anything happen, and I was ready for it. I had also realized that I could use my creativity for something bigger than myself, something that would make a positive impact on the world. Now, I was searching for others to create with, and the way that I found them was through open mic night. Gatherings like this are where it's at, and I'm a firm believer in this format for any community. The creative people have to come together to collaborate, and they need a reason to come together. I was living in a tiny town called Hinton at the time, and I had met this young poet and songwriter, and we were traveling every single week an hour away to a town called Beckley just for this open mic night. It was so important to us. We would always pull over on the side of the road and look over the beautiful landscape of Hinton, the beautiful New River and Zion Mountain. And I don't know what was different about this one particular night, but we were gazing at that beautiful scenery, and it just dawned on us, why not here? Why not start an open mic night here? At the time, it was a very sleepy little town with a lot of resistance to change, and no one really expected anything new to happen, especially created by young people like us. But what we realized is that we would need to create our own opportunity. And so we started our work, and it just blossomed and multiplied very quickly. Once the door was open and the word was out, the artists and the poets and the musicians, they came from far and wide, and they came pretty fast. That is how we met most of the contacts that formed the foundation for all of our current work. I met my amazing husband, Robert, there. Now, Robert grew up in Hinton where he had very little opportunity. There was no creative outlet for him. Now, he had just creative genius just waiting to be unleashed, but there was just no open door for him until he found open mic night, and his whole life changed. We started playing music together then, and we never stopped. That was about 16 years ago, and we've been running open mic nights together ever since. Now, for us, it's open mic night because we love music so much, but really, we just believe that any open creative space that people have regular access to, where they can go to express themselves and also meet other creative people, the regularity of that and that open door, we believe that's that vital element. And see, progress all starts with people coming together and sharing ideas like you're doing here at this assembly. And before you know it, something is happening. And it really only takes that one spark. After that, others join in, and then others, and then it's a movement that people really begin to recognize. So I was very lucky to get connected with artists who shared my passion to change the world. All of our music and our poetry was about it. We were just racking our brain, like, how are we going to change this world? And then one day, I won't forget it, it was a sunny afternoon, and we were sitting in a park, and this car drove by with a bumper sticker on it. It said, "Think globally, act locally." That resonated with us. And so we started to think and live our lives like that. how can we make our community better, more vibrant, more tolerant, more livable, and more awesome? And so we set out to identify and fill some voids. Now, in southern West Virginia, there isn't a whole lot of opportunity for multicultural experience. And we all know that xenophobia, or fear of what's different, can be a very serious block to progress. And we had also realized there was a pretty serious lack of entertainment when we arrived on the scene. And of course, being artists and musicians ourselves, we were seeking venues to showcase our work. Now, I know here in North Carolina, y'all have some amazing music and arts events. In fact, our very first music festival was here in a place called Lake Eden. It was called Smile Fest, and it was actually a really big influence on us as our first music festival. Back in our little town of West Virginia, it was pretty much up to us to create the fabric of a creative community. So we established an Earth Day Festival in the spring to promote stewardship and cultivate community, and Culture Fest World Music and Arts Festival in the fall to promote unity and respect for diversity. Now, these events marked the beginning of us establishing annual traditions that would become to be the foundation of our creative community. Now, both of these events are in their 17th year now, and they've been a catalyst for a thriving progressive circle of creative people in our town and our region. Culture Fest is like a convergence of creative minds. It attracts visitors from all around the state and as far away as California and New York City. Now, it gives our local creatives a chance to mix and mingle with all kinds of energy, as well as showcasing the music and the art of our region. In such a relaxed environment, it stimulates focused conversation about how to make the world a better place. We like to create this atmosphere so when people step onto this site, they feel like they're escaping the world out there, for 4 days. And for that one inspired weekend, we all get to co-create a world the way that we wish that it could be. Signs with inspired sentiments on them like love one another and have faith decorate the site. Facilitated discussions called Conversations at Culture Fest explore subjects like superfoods, permaculture, and the interconnectedness of humanity. West Virginia Sky Tours brings their giant telescopes, and everyone just marvels at the night sky, which is always filled with thousands of stars. Children dance, and beautiful sounds fill the air. We all also paint on these giant community art boards. We just throw up these easels and put paintbrushes and paint out, and anyone can come up to those and express themselves. And so by the end of the weekend, these beautiful works of collective art emerge. Now, it's the peak of the year for us, like a holiday. Everyone loves Culture Fest. And what's interesting, too, is even those who don't choose to actually participate in the event, they're still affected by its messages. They're hearing words like tolerance and diversity on the news, and they're reading it in the papers. The photos and the videos are, of course, all over the internet. So we believe just putting that energy out there transforms the environment bit by bit. It's important to note that this festival, for us, is the seed. It's the impetus for the transformation we're witnessing in our community. And all of it is driven by this strong desire to bring about meaningful change. Now, one of the best parts about Culture Fest is experiencing new flavors, new ideas, and ways to see the world. Now, Robert and I have been exploring instruments from around the world for a while since we met, and we find that they are an excellent tool for opening doors to conversation, conversations about understanding and bridging cultural divides, especially amongst young people. So we all love to use our music to send a message that respect for diversity is a must for a vibrant community. So right now we're gonna play another couple tunes for you. We're gonna share some images with you from our open mic nights and from Culture Fest. And the 2 songs we're gonna play for you, one is called Blue Lagoon. It'll feature Robert on the didgeridoo. And this first one is called Many, Many. could we, can we sing with one voice? Can we, could we, with one voice? Can we, could we? Well, that's what I want to know. If we could sing with one voice, if we could with one voice. There's many, many voices, many, many songs come from many, many journeys, many, many walks, many, many cry outs, many, many call. We're all together, could we make one voice? There's many, many vistas, many, many views, many, many pathways lead to many, many truths. If I can't see through your eyes and you can't see through mine, then how could I know what you know or what you testify to? And oh, I know we can live in harmony if we could just try a little bit harder to take a second look. Open our eyes to the many, many ways to get there. 'Cause you know, he knows, she knows we're gonna become one. It takes an open eye to see what is real to you may not be my reality. Perception can be deceiving. In your own mind, you may find that what I see is only make-believe to you. But if I have not walked a mile in your shoes, then how can I know what you've been through? Well, what makes you see that? From whence comes your truth? My pain and your pain, not the same, but come from the same place. If my blood brother dies, does he not bleed? The seeds from the same garden. For everyone has a story, and everyone needs to be told. Not one more important than the other, for many colors make up the rainbow. See, I was taught by my best friend to recognize my place as a grain of sand. I'm part of one, and many, many, that's just one, and many, many. Well, no, but oh, I know we can live in harmony if we could just try a little bit harder to take a second look. Open our eyes to the many, many ways to get there. 'Cause you know, he knows, she knows we're gonna become one. Many, many cry, many, many call all together. Could we make one voice? We've got no choice now. We've got no choice now. We've got no choice. Sing with one voice. Yeah, alright now. There's many, many voices, many, many songs come from many, many journeys, many, many walks, many, many cry outs, many, many call. We're all together, could we make one voice? There's many, many vistas, many, many views, many, many pathways lead to many, many truths. If I can't see through your eyes and you can't see through mine, then how could I know what you know or what you testify to? And oh, I know we can live in harmony. We've all got to try just a little bit harder to take a second look. Open our eyes to the many, many ways to get there. 'Cause you know, we know, she knows we're gonna become one. Core group of people that were brought together through Culture Fest and through Open Mic Night, and we had ourselves a creative community. Now, I have to tell you, the numbers were not big at first. Sometimes there were just 2, 3 handfuls of people of us. But we knew that we had to focus on the value and the quality of the experience rather than the numbers. And what we did do is document extremely well. Robert's such an amazing photographer, as you're seeing in the photos and the videos. We believe that high quality documentation is a vital ingredient to building a movement. So we were renting city parks and coffee houses at the time, and we just knew that we needed our own space. And we were very driven to bring people together through music and the arts. As fate would have it, we had relocated back to my hometown of Princeton in 2006, and an opportunity presented itself. Enter Mercer Street. Now, once the heartbeat of our town, thriving with culture and commerce, downtown Princeton had suffered the same fate as many across the country. It's the story that we all know about downtown decline. Choked out by shopping malls and big box stores, and the situation compounded by the economic downturn, Mercer Street had suffered decades of disrepair. Now, some had seen this place as a dead end, a lost cause where all the riffraff live. Now, let's talk for a moment about the term riffraff and how it's based on an opinion. It's defined by Webster as considered by some to be worthless and low. Now, some people would just as soon see the people of Mercer Street be swept under the rug, but I know, as I'm sure all of you do, that no one is worthless. So we saw Mercer Street as a blank canvas and an opportunity to make a difference in the lives of the people. We chose the name Riff Raff Arts Collective as a statement because we know what it's like to be judged by stereotypes or deemed inferior because of the way that we look or choose to live our lives, just like artists all throughout history. And we all know that you cannot judge a book by its cover. And if you write someone off for superficial reasons, you may miss out on something extraordinary, as was the case with us. Some people just saw us as those crazy artists doing their festivals and playing their music. Little did they know that we were an economic development engine waiting to be tapped. Now, we never wanted to move in and push them out to make way for another pretty shopping district like some revitalizations tend to do, though we do want foot traffic in our shops and galleries, and we don't want criminal activity. But we set out to improve the environment and make life better for everyone. We know that your environment directly affects your behavior. So with each improvement that is made, we raise the overall potential for social and economic development, which go hand in hand. But from the very beginning, the people that lived on that street were inspired by what we were doing. They would watch us, sometimes from a distance, but they would come up to us when we were dressing our windows and say, "Hey, that looks really cool. This is really neat. I like what you're doing down here." There was this one gentleman who was always watching us for months and months, and we'd work really late hours, and we'd always covered in paint and sheetrock dust, like out on the street at all hours. And one night he crossed the street and came up to strike up a conversation with us, and he was like, "Man, I really, really like what you're doing down here. Y'all must be getting paid big bucks to do this." We were like, "Yeah, actually, we're not getting paid at all." And I'll never forget that moment of recognition. It was like a light bulb went off, and the look in his eye when he realized that we were down there doing that work because we believed in it. There was this mutual respect with he and I, and really with everyone in the neighborhood from that point forward. So we took a turn-of-the-century structure, and we breathed new life into it. An old ballroom became a small theater, a gathering place that hosts tons of music, dance concerts, yoga classes, plays, and more. We call it the room upstairs. An old department store became our art gallery, and old office spaces became artist studios. Another building, which was once a pool hall, became Stages Music School until it overflowed into another building, which was once a department store. Every day, 200 inspired little munchkins with their instrument cases on their back populate the street. It's beautiful and inspiring. We've also made some key aesthetic changes. Now, in 2007, the city manager at the time came to us and he said, "Hey, we really like what you're doing with your arts district. We'd like to get you some banners." And he handed us a catalog. Of course, we asked if we could design them. He agreed. So the first mark that we made on that neighborhood were these 4 colorful banners designed by Robert. They said, "Inspire, create, discover, and imagine." And they would hover over people's heads on Mercer Street. Now, let me tell you, it meant a lot that the city manager came to us like that. It let us know that we were recognized, we were valued and appreciated. That was a very smart move by the city of Princeton early on. The city also approved our unique and eccentric request for a yellow brick road crosswalk. It became a photo op and an icon. Now, these bright colors and inspiring messages affect people. It changes their energy, it lifts their moods, and it gives them something to be excited about and proud of, to talk about and feel alive. And we all just know in our hearts that improving the neighborhood improves morale. And one spring morning, on the day of our annual All Together Arts Parade, I noticed that some of the neighbors were out on their own at 8 a.m., picking up trash, sweeping the sidewalk, and getting ready for the day. They didn't expect me out that early, and they knew what day it was, and they were excited about it, and they were preparing. Now, that gave me an awesome feeling. And in that moment, I knew that the high-minded ideals that we were striving for in our work on Mercer Street were starting to become a reality. Now, some have said that this transformation is impossible, but we know that we can make a difference. We know that music, art, and the opportunity to create can bring about joy, and a joyful population of people is what we're after. That is how we make the world a better place. Whatever is wrong, it can be made better by giving people a chance to express themselves and be a part of something, bringing more meaning and purpose to their lives. In this day and age, people are so devoid of human experience. They're lost in their electronic devices and isolated by the competitive nature of society. The creative experiences like this provide meaningful human interaction, a chance to remember that we are alive. Now, helping people identify their passion and purpose, especially when they didn't know that they had it in them. Nothing is more fulfilling. And in the beginning, it was like moving mountains. The powers that be and the public were like, who are these crazy artists and what are they doing downtown? But after a few years, number one, they realized that we were not going anywhere. They also realized that we were committed, good people, we were for real, and we were here to stay. Now, we believe in this work very much, and we're very thankful to have the opportunity to do it. The world can feel totally crazy out there sometimes. In the midst of all that, I know that I have to focus on what I can affect, what we can affect together. Those ripples in the pond, that's how we change the world. And when everything's falling apart out there, we can pick it up together. And that's what this next song is about. It's called If It All Falls Down.
falling away. Nobody knows what to make of the game, and it's not in our hands anyway. And what to make of the media man. They paint the pictures we see. Stuck in our boxes, we run around slamming in walls. It's all illusionary. And if it all falls down, well then we'll pick it up where we started from. And then we'll watch the faded signs, so we can reconsider before we draw boundary lines. It all falls down, yeah, then we'll pick it up where we started from. And then we'll watch the faded signs, so we can reconsider before we draw boundary lines. And all those boundary lines. Thank you. So a vibrant scene changes the whole feeling of a place, and you can just feel that energy shifting. It's wild. Now, hearing the people confirm it, the transformation is palpable. And we envisioned what we thought that it should look like, and then we spoke it into existence. And before anyone else saw it, we spoke of it as if it were already so. We said, this is a vibrant and exciting place to live. And now, years later, it is. Mercer Street has become a hub for cultural activity. You know, and that seems to be the future for downtowns all across the country. Retail has shifted. It will never be what it once was. So now we have to look at our downtowns as centers for cultural activity and experiences. Now, as we all know, there are tons of wonderful examples of this here in North Carolina. In fact, my niece goes to UNC Asheville, and we've all certainly learned a lot from experiencing and learning about the journey of that city. And so many of our friends, our artists, and our contacts have come from our time in towns here in this great state. As we shared our music and visited places like Asheville, we would tap into that energy. We'd be fed by it, harvest it, learn from it, and then bring it home and allow that to impact our work. And now all along, we kept this deep drive to bring people together with music and the arts. And I'm sure you all know that you build community through relationships and collaboration. And we have this event in its 11th year now. It's called All Together Arts Week. And it aims to bring people together from across our county past the imaginary divide between rivals, Bluefield and Princeton, challenging this outdated high school jacket syndrome that plagues our town's politics. And for that 1 week, we like to gather everyone together and shine the light on all the arts activity and bring people for conversations about collaboration and really just promote unity through that week. We have this adorable little trolley. It's like a streetcar that the city of Bluefield owns, and so we try to gather as many people as we can onto that trolley and tour all of the county's venues together. Now, All Together Arts Week gives us artists a chance to come together and to send a message to the leaders. Once again, messages about unity and cooperation are all over the media, and I know that it affects them. I know because I hear them speaking the language. I hear them preaching those values, especially during All Together Arts season. That's really pretty cool. It's challenging them to think outside of the box and then rethink what is possible. Now, that's a great example of how art and music can affect change. It's a vehicle, and we can use it to shape the world around us. So we've spent several years investing in and building our state-of-the-art recording studio, and we are just about up and running. We're so ready to release our own music and the music of other local artists, and the generation of young musicians at stages are recording as well. They're being taught to use their music to speak out about what's important to them. Now, our collective goal is to supersede the mass media.
In this age of electronics and saturation of our children's minds by shallow entertainment, we look to create quality content and real human experience that people can tune into, to release albums and create shows for quality regional artists so that people can be excited about something in their own backyard. A couple of years ago, we shot a music video for our little stars, the all-girl rock band Misbehavin'. They covered Lady Gaga's Born This Way as part of an anti-bullying effort. And the city of Princeton shut down the street for us, and about 100 people from the community came out to dance in the middle of the street, right there on top of the yellow brick road. There were mailmen, city workers, kids of all ages, even a pharaoh. It was wild, and with the stage lights beaming there in the middle of the street, it felt just like a Hollywood soundstage. We were all just having the best and most memorable experience. Now, once again, the fact that the city of Princeton was willing to not only enable, but actually even participate in this experience for the community, it just meant everything to us. And it's moments like these that inspire us to keep moving forward with this work. What I love about this is that we're writing our own story in the most unexpected way. And it's causing other people to rethink what is possible and then have courage to pursue their own dreams. And it's changing the vibration of the place. You know, all these years of negative energy are now shaken up and confronted with something that is genuine and uplifting. Looking out the window onto Mercer Street, along with all of its challenges, I see the changes that have already been made, which are extremely inspiring. You know, some say we are crazy, but we're dreaming the impossible dream. And it's the most fulfilling thing in the world to be able to affect this type of change. Now, I'm not blind to the enormous strides that we have yet to make, but if you think about it, that's true planetarily. You know, this is our own little corner of the world to heal. Here in rural Appalachia, we all have the opportunity to make a significant difference and a positive impact on our region. I say, look at it like a blank canvas and choose to see the beauty and the possibility, even in the most unlikely scenario. There's gonna be a time for us yet. There's gonna be a time for us yet. Well, don't give up, don't give up. I know there's gonna be a time for us yet. Yeah, you bet, a super bet, no, no, don't give up now. No, no, don't give in, yeah. No, no, don't give up, don't give in. Well, there's gonna be a time for us. There's gonna be a time. Well, I know there's gonna be a time, yeah, 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 yeah. There's gonna be a time. Da-da-dun, 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 and da-da-dun, na-na-na-na, yeah, yeah. So looking out the window, looking out the window, looking out the window.
I see stars. Looking out the window, looking out the window, looking out the window. I see it, and now I'm seeing stars. Da-da-da-da-da, looking out the window, and looking out the window, I see stars, yeah. I see stars. Well, tell me, do you ever question? And tell me, do you ever run? And tell me, do you ever wonder what it's all for? But na. Do you ever question? Do you ever run? Do you ever wonder what it's all for? Well, I see it now. Do you see it now? Do you see? 'Cause I see stars. Well, do you see? Do you see? Do you see? 'Cause I do. And I'm seeing stars. Da-da-da-da-da, looking out the window, and looking out the window, I see stars, yeah. I see stars. Well, does it ever end? It doesn't look like it. Does it ever end? It doesn't look like it. Does it ever end? It doesn't look like it. Well, I see stars for miles and 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 miles. Looking out the window, I see stars. Looking out the window. Thank you. So it's been about a decade and a half since we started this work, and within the past few years, something spectacular has happened. Now, we spent years going to conferences and community development gatherings a lot like these, asking tons of questions and searching for help. But through our work and our clear commitment to the community, we had joined forces with an organization called Community Connections. Now, this is our town's family resource network. They deal with all things related to healthy communities. I had shared some great conversations with the executive director, Greg Puck, about this notion that we shared, this perspective, this thought that young people, or we feel like the reason that young people turn to negative behaviors in such staggering numbers is because they don't have enough to look forward to, not enough to be excited about. And so though his organization was a family resource network, he realized that they could dedicate some of their resources to community development because prevention and community development go hand in hand. We'd also made contact with the West Virginia Community Development Hub, a wonderful organization and a connector of all good things in West Virginia. They have a number of great programs, and one of them was pivotal in our progress. It was called the Blueprint Communities Program. Now, that process helped us to take a look at the big picture of our town, to assess our strengths and map our challenges, and most importantly, it brought us together. Now, that program guided us in creating a dream team.
We sat down at the drawing board with the city of Princeton, the mayor and the city manager, the Chamber of Commerce, the editor of the Princeton Times, an architect, a banker, and the dean of New River Community and Technical College. And together, we gave birth to the Princeton Renaissance Project. Well, I can't tell you how much teaming up with these partners has accelerated this work. It helped us to tap into the mainstream public's support, and together, we have begun a complete transformation of our downtown. With this team together, big, transformative projects became possible, things that we'd always dreamt of but couldn't quite accomplish on our own. Together, we acquired and began renovating our town's historic movie theater. Now, this place holds memories of our downtown's heyday that mean the world to people. It reminds them of a time when Mercer Street was the place to be. With elbow-to-elbow traffic, department stores, theaters, and restaurants, Princeton was a booming center for commerce back then, just like downtowns all across Appalachia. This theater has tugged at people's heartstrings and pulled the community from out of the woodwork to revel in the nostalgia. And one thing I find interesting is that when we acquired this theater in 2013, we thought that it would be renovated relatively quickly and that it would catalyze the development of our downtown. But it's actually taken longer than we expected, and it's not quite at the finish line yet. But our neighborhood has developed all around this theater. So once that theater does open, it's going to open to an already established foundation of a very culturally vibrant neighborhood. I find that very interesting. And when we finally do open the door to the renovated Renaissance Theater, we anticipate a monumental shift in the culture on Mercer Street, a new heyday. We know that someday people will look back on this as the good old days. Now, this newly established network also made it possible for us to achieve the creation of several public works of art. And we facilitated the creation of 8 very large professional murals, several sculptures, as well as Artist Alley, which is a 22-mural project that brought 24 artists together, some of them that had never met, for the most memorable experience. Now, this is a pedestrian crosswalk that you're looking at, and it was just covered in negative graffiti, and it was kind of like a dark and dismal place to be. And some people had expressed the desire for us to clean it up. So instead of just painting a solid coat on it, we created this very vibrant public work of art, and it involved so many people. So it was as much about the experience and the fellowship of creating that work of art as it was about the product. Tourists came in to watch us work, and artists built bonds, and it was just the best time with manifold reward. And we've created several additional murals since then, and it's caused other businesses to jump on board and to paint their own murals to contribute to the new energy. It's important to note that it was the impact of the multiple walls. We didn't just paint 1, 2, or even 3 walls. We painted 8 giant walls. And this is what was impossible to ignore. So you could not talk about downtown when this public art movement began. So it kind of thrust our community into this new conversation and focus about downtown. Now, accomplishing these public works of art was a real feat, and it was possible because of these partnerships and these networks that we had established. It was a real milestone success to have the city and sponsors pay artists to work. And it was very important, I'm sure you all know, to value the work of creative people. Now, traditionally in our town, that hasn't been the case. So it was a major success to achieve this public and private support of creativity. Another effect of the bond of the team has been that everyone is starting to feel involved. And we have this fountain in the center of our downtown. It had to stop flowing because these kids would put suds into the fountain and it would just overflow with suds all over the place, and it was a big old mess. And so they shut the fountain down. We got a new city manager, and she said, no, this fountain can flow again. We just need an anti-sudsing chemical. So she brought I don't know what it is, but she brought the team out, the public works team, to paint the fountain. And while they were out there, one of the city works crewmen said, we should paint some fish in this fountain. That would be really cool. And she was smart enough to say, what an awesome idea. So she picked up the phone and called the artist, and within a couple of weeks, these adorable fish and frogs appeared in the fountain. I love it that happened. And what it tells me is that citizens are starting to feel ownership of this new creative identity that Princeton is gaining. And people from all walks of life are getting involved. One of my favorite projects has been the community garden. Now, we built this garden on a lot that was a total mess. It was torn to pieces from the demolition of a building. And a lot of folks said, well, you can't plant a garden on Mercer Street. They're going to destroy it. But just as what we all suspected, that they were talking about are the ones that protected that garden. First of all, not everyone on the street is a criminal, like so many of the old guards stuck in their ways presume. So many of these people are just nice people. A lot of them grew up on farms or around gardens, and so they come in and give us tips on growing. They pick some lettuce for dinner or strawberry for a snack. They know that that garden belongs to them as much as it belongs to us. And the people that work on the project are kind-hearted and friendly. So no matter who comes by, they get greeted and treated with respect. I love that. I love this group of people, and I love what that garden represents. It's for the people, by the people. And this notion of sharing and abundance for all seems revolutionary in times like these. Now, our creativity, mixed with the resources of local government, chamber, and business support, has resulted in some dynamic new traditions for our town. In 2013, we launched a Halloween festival called the Mercer Monster Mash that brings thousands of families downtown, and an epic multi-stage music and arts festival on New Year's Eve called the Downtown Countdown, complete with ice sculptors, fire dancers, a ball drop, and fireworks. And it's incredibly special to come together with the fire department, the Princeton PD, the sponsors, the volunteers, and artists to create this powerful, monumental experience for people. And that night, they feel so alive. And they're not just watching people on TV having fun in New York City. They're excited to be alive in Princeton, West Virginia. And they're not just watching something happen, they are a part of it. Or they're creating memories, they're taking selfies left and right, and they're just having the most amazing time. And it's more than just a party. We are changing the culture and establishing meaningful new traditions. And we work really closely with the fire department on this event, and it is so special. And one year, we have this amazing ice sculptor, and this one year we had him carve the fire engine in honor of the fire team that lowers the ball. And after the event that year, the fire chief came to me, and he was like, "Lori, I want to tell you something right now, and I don't even know if I can put it into words." That was the most amazing thing I've ever experienced. That was by far the most creative thing I've ever seen, and I'll never forget it. It was awesome, and he was really at a loss for words trying to express this impactful experience that he had just had. There's something super special about that I can't quite even put into words. Now, these events have taken Mercer Street from being a place that people just would not go to being a place that you bring your family to make memories. The increase in foot traffic, the excitement about the downtown, and also the hip factor. This notion that this is the place to be. Now, that's been transformative. A local bar and grill that's been downtown for years before the Renaissance began reported his best night of sales in his business's history on the first night of the Downtown Countdown, and it's just gotten better ever since. And the volunteers that came together to help put these events on, they came together in the spirit of the Renaissance. They were meeting at the bookstore weekly at the time when the idea was born, and it was invigorated by this feeling that something revolutionary was taking place, by the notion that we, community members, artists, kids, could truly make a difference. And these moments are incredibly fulfilling because we know that we're writing our own history. All these years of work have finally come to a peak, and it's like a dam has burst. In a lot of ways, it feels like it's just the beginning, but it took years of time and perseverance, and we kept it going, and now the support is here. We put in all those years of work, and now we're getting to experience the fruits of that labor. Now, the fact that there was a program to connect us artists with our local government, to put us at the table together, that was incredibly valuable. And I do recommend investigating programs that can accomplish that. One program is called the AirShift program. Have you all heard of that? The North Carolina Commission on the Arts is a partner in AirShift. Now, I really like this program because it brings artists and creative people together with business leaders and government leaders, puts them in a room together, and it teaches them how to speak each other's language. And then they embark on this strategy session, kind of coming up with projects together that would impact their community. It's a really great program to investigate. I can tell you more about it in the breakout sessions if you're interested. But I do recommend investigating the AirShift program or any program that could accomplish that type of connection. So we're ready for another decade of our work. We've written our plan, and we're committed to seeing it through. Now I'm going to bring these guys back on the stage with me now. We're going to play another tune for you. We're going to share some of our slides from the work in our downtown.
We've got a task at hand. How can we make it better? Well, yes, I know we can, we can. We can make a brighter day. Well, can we look inside and find out what's not right? Recognize the box and then step outside. Well, who will stand up, light up, who will rise to the challenge of this most trying time? Can we find a new way? Can we find a better day? Can we break free? Can we to turn the page? Well, I think we can. Yes, I know we will. We've got to make a blueprint for a new solution. We've got to chart a brand new map for a higher road to go. From the ground up, build it up, a new institution. Think about a perfect world and then begin to lay the stones. Can we find a new way? Can we find a better day? Can we break free? Can we to turn the page? Well, I think we can. Yes, I know we will. No, can you see it? Are you ready to make it real? Whoa, now look around, hear me now. It all starts right here, right here. Yeah, neighbor to neighbor, coming together. That's how we'll turn the tide. Well, it's our town, it's our world, and it's our time. We've got to make a blueprint for a new solution. We've got to chart a brand new map for a higher road to go. From the ground up, build it up, a new institution. We've got to make a blueprint.
And so now, every month in the warm season, hundreds of classic cars and car lovers populate downtown. Greg, who I told you about from Community Connections, he's been restoring vintage signage and just putting fresh coats of paint on several buildings. Isn't it amazing what just a fresh coat of paint can do? A new flower shop moved into an old G.C. Murphy's building with distinct intentions to contribute to the efforts. Her sign says, "Helping Mercer Street bloom." Now, another art gallery moved into the home of an old bank building, the Citizen Savings and Loan Building. It's now home to Holler Contemporary Appalachian Art Gallery. The creator of this gallery, who you see here, his name is Chase Bowman. He's a Princeton native, and he had gone to school and traveled all over the world with his art. And he was living in San Francisco for years, and his parents were dutifully sending him clippings, newspaper clippings of the Renaissance, so he was staying tuned to what was going on. And one day, I got a phone call from him saying, "Hey, I've been watching what you're doing, and I'm thinking about moving home and being a part of it." Sure enough, he bought this old bank building and created this beautiful art gallery. And so after that, the momentum started to accelerate. Within the past 2 years, we've seen the opening of a fantastic coffee house, a paint-your-own pottery shop, a yoga studio, a candy factory, a sporting goods store, hammer and stain do-it-yourself woodworking shop, a bakery, Sophisticated Hound Brewing Company, also Bucha Brew House and Bistro, 2 hair salons, a tattoo shop, a toy store, a custom cabinetry shop, and a new thrift store. And there are 4 buildings currently under active renovation that are making way for new businesses that are set to open in 2019. Blue Ridge Bee Company will open its doors next week, and Totally Glazed Donuts will follow shortly after. Jimmy's Diner and also Burgers and Brews are on the way in 2020. I'm giving tours almost every week now to businesses that are interested in joining the movement. From our most recent calculations, we're approaching $10 million of new investment in downtown since we started this work. Traffic, thank you. Traffic counts on Mercer Street have increased from 7,000 to 13,000 since we started. Now, it's plain to see how creative revitalization can positively affect an economy. Additional tax revenue, tourism dollars, and new business are all courted through this type of development. And it just takes that one motivated person to spark a movement. That one joins with the next, and before you know it, that ball is rolling. And of course, people come from all around to see this newly transformed town that they hear about. And the positive energy that you speak into existence does not go unnoticed. The media loves to feature these stories, probably a lot because of our rising underdog appeal, and we all have that going for us right now. It just seems like all around the world, there are so many eyes on Appalachia. People are genuinely intrigued by us, and some of them really care what happens to us. It's time for us to tell our own stories and change the narrative that has controlled Appalachia's story for too long now. And on that note, let's address negativity. And so naysayers will always exist. I guess that's just the balance of the universe. There will always be positive and negative. And when you set out to do something different and transformative, you can bet that they will come out of the woodwork. They'll say annoying things like, "Well, that'll never work," and "Who do they think they are?" And we tried that years ago. It didn't happen. No need to try that. Or whatever it is that they're trying to say. But the way that we handle that is that we always tune in to the positive. We only tune in to people who get what we're doing, who appreciate who we are, and are hungry for what we have to give. We feel like that's mostly who we're here for. So whenever there's a critic or someone intent on trying to bring us down, we try to tune back in to the ones who are thankful for our presence. And one thing that we heard in the beginning of this work, and we still hear it every now and again, is, well, you can't put lipstick on a pig. Oh, I hate that. And, well, you can't just throw a bunch of paint at it and expect that it's going to get better. But those critics are completely missing the point. It's not just about the art on the walls. It's about who and what is behind that paintbrush. It's about the fact that a creative community exists that cared enough to create those works of art. And that paint on the walls is just evidence that they exist. So if you ever encounter anything like that, people saying those types of things, I hope you'll know how to respond. No matter what's going on or what they're saying, always tune in to the positive. Now, even if you don't think you have creative skill, you could be the one that opens the door for it to happen. Perhaps you have the ability to provide a space or create the link between the venue and the gathering. Open the doors and watch them come out of the woodwork. Let them all meet, brainstorm, and see what happens. A lot of this work is about creating space for art to happen within, creating the conditions in which creativity can thrive. Now, we do whatever it takes. We take out the trash, we sweep the street, we change the light bulbs, write the press releases, hang the flyers, wire the stages, and run the sound, you name it. Now, there are tons of creative people in our areas for a variety of reasons. Now, you might not know all of them, but I assure you, they are there. Perhaps their career brought them there. Perhaps they're there to take care of their parents. Perhaps their journey led them there, like me. Perhaps they love it so much there they've never left. Perhaps they are students in your schools. All that's needed are magnets, like the riffraff, to draw them in and a space for them to be. Now, if there's already a space like that or a gathering in your town, please support it and do whatever you can to connect with it. So when we talk about creative placemaking, we might read books and articles about how to do creative placemaking. We might form committees and strike up initiatives, have meetings in boardrooms and brainstorm with dry erase markers and dry erase boards. And somewhere across town, in a warehouse or maybe a basement, there's an artist painting, envisioning a world of swirling color and imagination. There's a poet writing and dreaming of a better way for the world to be. There's a band practicing, wishing that there was a festival that they could perform at, like the one that they just visited in a neighboring town. I say, find them. Scour your community and map the sparks. Go to them, listen to them, support them. Inquire and investigate their ideas and their visions, and bring them to the drawing board. Bring them to the table. Ask their insight for solving problems with their unique vision and perspective, and see what becomes possible. The artists, the musicians, the poets, writers, and the makers. These are the culture bearers. They carry the legacy of our society forward. Now, there are people in your community who have the ability to shake things up, to bring new light and perspective to development. Now, please reach out to them, like the city of Princeton did with us, and show them that they are recognized and valued. Team up and see what possibilities unfold. So not only is this type of work exciting and fun, but it is desperately needed. We all know that our region is at a crossroads right now, and it's up to all of us to define our future. The drug problem in our communities is dire, as we all know. From my experience working with youth in rural schools and around the riffraff, I can tell you that many of them feel like they have nothing to live for and nothing to look forward to. And this is an endemic problem all around the world. People are disconnected from quality human experiences. Some young people around West Virginia, where I'm from, they don't know what quality of life is because they've never seen it. So we've got to show them what it looks like. We must unlock the door to their creativity and create a catalyst for them to do something. So many are living in poverty without proper guidance. We've got to show them something that inspires them away from their mundane existence. Show them that life can be more. So now, growing up in West Virginia, like I said, I knew that I was looking for something, but I didn't really know what it was. So what is it? And what makes life worth living? What moves us forward? So from my perspective, it is quality human interaction and experience. It is inspired, fruitful, meaningful activity. It is creating and being a part of something exciting that makes us feel alive. We can show them something that matters and something that they can be a part of. And we all choose how to frame it up, even when the situation is challenging. And what an opportunity to be the change here in rural Appalachia. It's so easy in times like these to focus on the negative, but I say challenge that status quo and dare to see the beauty and the possibility. Now, we all know in our hearts that there's a better, more authentic and inspired way for the world to be, and so we pour our heart and our soul into our work. I say identify your passion, begin your work, and don't give up. And we're writing our own story, and so can you. We're going to play one final song for you all. I'm going to share some more slides with you. We've been sharing this message with communities all around West Virginia and some around the region, and it's been so beautiful to watch these communities of things into their towns. And so this final slideshow is going to include some photos from towns across West Virginia. It's called The Time Is Now. Never there was a time when it mattered more
And never there was a time when it mattered more. Your love and your light can open up the door. And never there was a time when it mattered more. And never there was a time when your love was called upon like this. Well, all of the signs, they beckon us to shine in the darkness. So pull your heart out of your pocket and wear it ooh on the outside. And now is the time, now is the time. So open up your heart, open up your mind. The time is now to open up your heart and open up your eyes. Da 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 da. If they go and try and put your light out, you go and shine it brighter. If they go and try and put your light out, go on and shine it brighter. If somebody done put your light out, I wanna light it for you. If somebody done put your light out, I wanna light it for you. We are not alone. No, we are not alone. And yes, we are called upon. Yes, we are called. We are just travelers here, and it is what we came here for. Alright. And never there was a time when it mattered more. So reach deep down in your soul, shine, children, and tap into that wellspring within, and find that place in your deep, deep down. Alright. And we will rise again. Da 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 da. If they go and try and put your light out, you go and shine it brighter. If they go and try and put your light out, go on and shine it brighter. If somebody done put your light out, I wanna light it for you. If somebody done put your light out, I wanna light it for you. So open up your heart, open up your mind. The time is now to open up your heart and open up your eyes. Way, way Never there was a time when it mattered more. And never there was a time when it mattered more. Our love and our light can open up the door. Alright. And never there was a time when it mattered more. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me allow you to introduce you to the amazing Elon JD on the bass. The incredible visionary Robert Blankenship. The amazing Ariane Graham, Mr. Jacob Brooks, and our wonderful production team, Greg Cornell and JP Farrell in the back. Thank you, guys.
So let's have another great round of applause for these folks. Lori, Robert, Elon, Ariane, James, Option 22 Band, thank you. Thank you for being with us.